Welcome to the Business of Apparel podcast. This is the place to learn how to start and scale your own apparel brand and fill it with loyal customers for years to come. I'm your host, Rachel Erickson, owner and CEO of Unmarked Street, and I can't wait to share this episode with you. Welcome back to the Business of Apparel podcast. Today, I want to get into a topic with you called girl math and how I know girl math to be a thing out in the world, and why I don't always love all the different definitions of it. And we'll kind of start with that last one first, where I really just don't believe that girl math should mean anything other than what I was taught by Queen Bee herself, Miss Nicole Lapin, which we will get into here a little bit. But other than what she has taught about girl math, anything out there about, number one, girls being dumb about math is just so not true. I'm a girl. I'm actually pretty decent at math. I run my own business. For the first several years, I did all my own finances and accounting. I've been running our personal finances in our personal life for many, many years. I'm actually pretty darn good at math. I tested out of calculus when I was going to college. I took high-end trigonometry when I was in high school. So don't make girl math about girls being dumb with math. Number one. Number two, I really also don't believe that girl math has anything to do with us being stupid about shopping. Us being stupid, girls being stupid, women being stupid is not what this was meant to be. This is not how I was taught about girl math in the way that I came to know it. And so this other notion that I got a discount over here so I can spend more money here. That also to me is not real girl math. And I know that that one's really popular, especially out in social media. People are talking a lot about I got a discount on this so I can spend more money over here. And that just to me is, it's just another way of kind of making fun of us for being dumb about math and shopping and our money. And ladies, we can be very, very good with our money. We can be very, very good at math. So don't believe any of that out there. And I understand that it's supposed to be funny. And so I'm not trying to take it too seriously, but I just don't really appreciate this perpetuating of the fact that women are dumb and we don't know what we're doing with our money, or we don't know what we're doing with numbers, because it is just absolutely not true. So for those of you who think it's funny and find it to be a joke, cool, I love to laugh, totally get it. But at the end of the day, continuing to perpetuate that women are dumb in any way is just not the way forward. It's not the way for us to make headway in this world. And so I just kind of wanted to put that out there first. If this pisses you off and I just rubbed your buttons all the wrong way, you do not have to listen to the rest of this episode. But what I do want to get into is the way that I was taught how to maybe use girl math. And I don't even think it was called that when I first learned it, but this is the only way that I really like to talk about it. And it is actually a really interesting budgeting technique. So which actually perpetuated us being intelligent about our money and really thinking about how we spend it. So first, I want to give a huge shout out to Nicole Lapin, who is the original boss bitch, the original rich bitch. If you haven't read any of her books, listened to her podcast, been out there and heard anything from Nicole Lapin, I really encourage you to do so. When I was first even considering starting my own business, or I was actually in corporate at the time and was starting to think about what might be next for me. So the entrepreneurial bug was kind of starting to hit. I had a couple of friends who were starting their own consulting agencies, and I kind of started to wonder what that might look like for me. But I was still pretty deep in corporate and I was managing teams, and I needed to understand not just how to be kind of the boss of myself a little bit better, but also just how to be a better boss at work, how to be a better manager, how to treat my people better, how to elevate them, elevate myself. And so when I read Nicole Lapin's Boss Bitch, it was a game changer for me. Everything that she had in the book just felt so spot on. And a lot of it was about how to be a better boss. But more about it was how to be a better boss of yourself, how to take charge of your own life. And then if you do decide to start your own business and become an entrepreneur or a small business owner, how do you become the boss in that as well? And so becoming a boss bitch was something that was meant to be a really, really positive thing. I know we say bitch in the way that's often very derogatory or could be very negative, but she kind of said it with a snap and a head wag. And so if you want to be a boss bitch out there, you want to be like for real, you want to be good at what you do, you want to be the boss of yourself and of your team and of your life, Boss Bitch is a great book to go out and read. And the one that we're going to talk a little bit more about today, I do believe, I don't quote me 100% on this because I'm not sure if the math that we're going to talk through today was in Boss Bitch or Rich Bitch, but I bet a good amount of money that the information was in Rich Bitch, because she talks a lot in that book about how to kind of create a budget for yourself, how to curate your personal finances to grow your savings and become rich and become wealthy and, move all of your money into a way that is going to help your dreams come true, whatever those dreams are. So those are some of the first two books that I read along with, Rachel Hollis. I was listening to her in a couple different places. Girl, Wash Your Face was amongst those three top books that I first started to read when I was thinking about starting my own thing. And then Rachel Hollis's Girl, Don't Apologize was another huge one. I think I've actually listened to that book 4 or 5 times. Although, Nicole, if you are listening, Ms. Nicole Lapin, if you ever want to come on the podcast, I would love to do a follow-up of this with you and you can explain it yourself. But I've also listened to Rich Bitch and Boss Bitch quite a few times. I listen to them when I go for walks and stuff because I always get something different from them. I'm always in kind of a different place in my career or in my business. And so I learn something different every single time that I read them or every single time that I listen to them. And so the notion that she kind of put forth was this idea about figuring out if something was worth buying. And so we talk about this a lot, and it pertains a lot to the apparel and the fashion industry, which is why I thought it would be a great topic for today. So, for example, what she likes to put out is like, if you are going shopping and you see a really expensive designer handbag that you want, and you can't quite justify the price, what she portrays and what I have interpreted as girl math is how to figure out within your budget if that purchase is worthy of being made. And so what you want to do then is to figure out how many times you are going to use that item, divide the cost by the number of uses, and then she has a specific formula and a specific number that she likes to make sure that you are using. I think it's a percentage of your overall budget. And as long as it's under that percentage threshold, so make sure that you go read her books because she's going to be a lot more thorough about this. I have a segue of something that I want to talk about here, so I'm not going to go too deep into her information, but I just want to give you the background a little bit. So let's say you were trying to buy, a $365 bag and you were committed to every day for the next year, I am going to carry this bag. It is the only bag that I am going to carry. And so for every single day, because a year also has 365 days in it, you're going to divide the cost 365 divided by 365 days. And the cost of that item is going to be $1 per day. And so if that falls into the percentage bucket or the budget that she has kind of portrayed as being appropriate, if $1 per day is actually worth it to you and to your budget, then that purchase can be a smart purchase. And even though it might seem expensive, maybe you're not used to buying $365 bags. And so it seems like a leap. But if you are genuinely going to use it as much as you think you will, and you can commit to doing that, then it can be a good way to figure out for your budget if it's worth it. Now, I want to take this a step further because the idea of being able to buy a $365 bag and using it every single day for a year depends on a couple of different things. And the number one thing that it depends on is whether that bag is going to hold up for you for 365 days in a row if you use it every single day. And so this goes really deep into the heart of quality goods that we're making in the fashion and apparel industry. So this goes for anything that you are buying in our sector. So if you're out there looking at a pair of pants, you're looking at a designer dress, you're looking at a prom gown, or maybe you're looking at a really amazing Chanel blazer. If you're able to figure out how many times you are going to wear and use any of those items, and it comes into your budget at a point where that threshold is absolutely worth it for you to buy, the other thing that you really need to consider is how long is that piece going to actually last? Are you frustrated by feeling like an outsider in your own industry? You're not alone. I spent years feeling the same way. Are you tired of endless research and you can only learn this stuff by getting a job in fashion advice? Me too. That's why I created the Business of Apparel online course. My years of insider knowledge condensed into video tutorials, demos, and downloads. Learn at your own pace, no fluff. Just key topics like building target profiles and mastering financials. This information is genuinely unavailable anywhere else. Grow your brand, become an apparel industry aficionado, and unlock millions in potential revenue. The value? Over $50,000 with millions potential for your brand. Don't miss out. Sign up for the Business of Apparel online course today at thebusinessofapparel.com/course. Was it a quality garment? Was it made in a way that will allow it to last as long as I need or want it to last to, again, make it worthy of purchasing? And so this goes really deep into the heart of sustainable quality fashion and apparel that's out in the world right now. We have all of these brands who are doing so many good things by sourcing high-end materials, quality materials, sustainable materials, natural fibers that are going to last for a very long time. We're talking years, maybe decades. I mean, if you think about the clothes that your mom or your grandmother was wearing back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and you can actually still go into their closet and potentially put those garments on because they were made so well. They've lasted decades. These are the types of things that we're talking about in the way of apparel manufacturing. And so if you can find a garment that is absolutely made well, it comes from a sustainable brand, they stand by their quality. There are so many brands out there now who will even say, if something happens to your garment, even 10 years from now, we'll take it back and we'll either replace it or repair it for you. Like, that is also a way to know that they're putting a lot of effort and energy into making those pieces of quality, because if they're not of quality, they're going to get returns and refunds, and they're going to have to replace garments all the time. So it's important for them. That's how you can know, right? Like, if brands have these kinds of policies in place and ways for you to go get your items repaired or get your items refunded or replaced if something happens to them, they're standing behind that quality, because for their own business purposes, they can't be doing that all the time. So they need to make sure that the clothes are going to last. So these are the kinds of brands that you really want to be shopping, because you can get as many uses out of them as you can. And then you can use that girl math all the way to so many different levels. I mean, if you want to buy a designer handbag that is made of the highest quality Italian leather, and you're not going to carry it just for a year, you are going to carry that bag for the next 10 years. Every single time that you need to carry a bag, you need to make sure that you have a bag that's going to last you 10 years. And then absolutely, that can be a good purchase for you. But you can't go into a low-end, low-quality, fast fashion, poorly made garment store and expect to be able to apply that same math. So if you go into a fast fashion shop and you're looking for a couple of shirts to wear, and maybe they're only $10, right? And so that's why you're going into this store, because everything is super cheap, right? Like, everything's affordable. Well, if you start to think about how many uses you can actually get out of those garments because the quality is so poor, all of a sudden our girl math starts to take a totally different perspective. Like, you end up tipping the scale in the completely different way, where now if I want to be able to spend $10 or $20 on a top because I want to get $1 per use out of it, at a lot of those shops, there is absolutely zero chance that you are going to get 20 wears out of that garment. And in some cases, there is even a low chance that you're going to get 10 wears out of that garment. And even if you can wear it 10 times, can you wear and wash it 10 times? Or is your garment going to fall apart whenever it goes into the washing machine? So this is a really interesting way, I think, to start thinking about the toxicity of fast fashion, and how right now, especially, there is a huge amount of demand for fast fashion because the consumers and you out there who are shopping put it into your mind that it's the cheaper solution, right? Like, I'm going to go into a fast fashion store and I'm going to be able to walk out with bags of clothes for a really low price. Well, that's great. But how long are those clothes going to even last you? And are you going to get the uses out of them that even make it worth your budget? So let's say you bought that $20 shirt and you could only wear it 2 times because it fell apart after 2 times of washing and wearing. So now all of a sudden your cost per use is $10. It's not $1. So as someone who is out here talking a lot about sustainability in the fashion industry and in the apparel industry, we inside the industry, we absolutely need to do our part and do a better job of putting better sustainable processes behind what we do to develop that apparel for you, to design that apparel for you, and to produce that apparel for you, to get it to a point where we are also contributing to the sustainability of that garment through the processes that we do inside the buildings of our own businesses. However, when you start to think about going shopping and you want to spend every single dollar as wisely as you possibly can, because the economy is tough right now. I totally get it. Everything is more expensive. Inflation is high. Housing is crazy in so many different areas right now. How are you going to stretch your dollars? Well, I'm here to tell you that going to fast fashion stores and not using your girl math the right way to the point where you're figuring out cost per use, if you are not doing that the right way, you are actually spending more money on that fast fashion apparel because you're not getting the number of uses out of it that you need to be able to apply to your budget correctly. So I just really want you to rethink what that means. If you need to go spend $100 on a similar looking t-shirt, but it is going to last you for the next 5 to 10 years, it is not going to fall apart. And even if it does fall apart, that brand is committed to making sure that you get a replacement or you get it repaired. That is going to go much farther for your budget than the shirt that's going to fall apart after a couple of different uses. And so I just want to start to change some minds about how that works. Girl math is definitely something that you can apply here to start to understand whether or not fast fashion is really the right thing for you to do. And so we see so many amazing brands, again, doing the right thing by sourcing the right fabrics, producing locally, and trying to make sure that they are paying fair wages to everybody who is making those garments, selling those garments on their teams. They're doing the right thing out there. They are not using sweatshops. They are not using child labor, which unfortunately a lot of these fast fashion brands are doing because it's the only way that they can bring garments to you at that low cost. Supporting these sustainable brands while getting something that's better for your budget, I just want you to think about how much better that is for our planet, how much better it is for our industry, how much better it is for the economy, and how much better it's going to be for you and your wardrobe as you curate this wardrobe that is going to be of high quality and is going to last you for years as you go. So again, thank you, Nicole Lapin, for all that you have taught me over the years. I have read, I think, all of your books at this point. I hope I'm not missing any, but if you would love to come on, I would love to chat about this with you and have you kind of give your opinion on what you think about how this all portrays into the world of fashion these days. But in the meantime, if you liked this episode, I would love for you to write a review for us. If you didn't like this episode, I'd also love to hear your opinion. What are your thoughts on all of this? I understand that fast fashion is growing right now because a lot of people feel like it's the only solution. And I'm happy to have that conversation. I think it's a really interesting one right now. But I also really believe that buying quality goods and supporting companies who are committed to making sustainable quality goods is the right path forward, and it is the right thing to do. And so that's why I'm out here talking about it today. But again, let's have a conversation. You can comment if you are watching on YouTube today, you can comment below. And again, please feel free to leave a review. If you'd like to go and leave me a personal note, you can go to unmarkedstreet.com/contact, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks so much, and we'll talk next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Business of Apparel podcast. I would so appreciate hearing your thoughts on the show. And if you know someone who could benefit from it, please share it with them. My biggest desire is to help other apparel professionals understand the nuances of our industry so we can all work toward making better product for a better world. If you would like to connect further, I'd love to invite you to send me a message through my website, thebusinessofapparel.com, where I do weekly trainings through my YouTube video channel, a weekly newsletter, blog articles, and so many more resources to help you start and scale a profitable apparel brand. This podcast is produced by Box 7 Media, who I cannot speak highly enough of. If you're looking to start your own podcast, you can reach out to Jeremy at Box 7 Media on LinkedIn anytime.